Hey y'all, welcome back, and thanks for joining me for episode 14 of the Ajayi Effect podcast, where you are reminded that you are never alone on the winding road of life. Here, you can show up as yourself for the whole journey. Your struggles are acknowledged, your victories are celebrated, and if it's happening in the world, we will discuss it. Here, you are capable of big things. Now, before we dive into today's episode, y'all, a quick toast to our sponsor, me, Dupe Ajayi. I have built a career on the power of storytelling and marketing for positive change. From roles at Airbnb, ABC News, and Rent the Runway, I've honed how to craft narratives that inspire. But one thing remains true. If equity isn't at the core, I won't be. Follow me here at the Ajayi Effect podcast and at the Ajayi Effect on all platforms. All right, let's get into it. So today, y'all, is so special. Today is my first podcast episode on the blueprint. We are diving into chapter 2, which is document, distill, and validate. And let me tell you, this step right here is foundational, but it is where people get stuck, because it requires you to actually see yourself. And some people don't want to do it, child. It requires you to put language to your strengths, to stop running from the truth of who you are and to own it, to lean into it. This chapter is all about reflection and self-awareness. It's about understanding what makes you stand out, what excites you, and how others perceive you. That is your sauce. You've heard me talk about this. So let's break it down. I want you to take a second right now. I want you to think about the compliments that you get all the time. Not the occasional, okay, suit, okay, shoes. But I am talking about the things people repeatedly say about your work, your energy, your vibe, your presence. Maybe they always say, wow, you're such a great problem solver. Or maybe they always say, you always know how to make people feel comfortable. Or maybe you have a way of explaining things that just make sense. Y'all, these are the clues and cues to your personal brand. In this phase, you're documenting these patterns. You're gathering receipts, if you will. What roles you naturally gravitate towards. As an entrepreneur, what spaces would you shine? How you respond under pressure and what skills people constantly highlight in you. These are the things that are getting pulled out in this phase. So let me ask you this. Take a second. What are the compliments you hear the most? What role do you naturally take on in a group setting? And when things get rough, what's your default move? If you don't have the answers to those yet, that's okay. Sit with these questions, because they are the breadcrumbs that'll lead you straight to your strength. All right, so let's talk about distillation. That is separating what you're good at from what lights you up. Now, once you've documented everything that I said previously, your next step is to distill. That is to get to the very essence, right? Because listen, just because you can do something well does not mean that you should build a brand around it. You may be a great baker. I was. Some people say now I lost my touch. I done lost my hand. Anyway, I digress. But a lot of us get caught up in this cycle of doing what we're good at, even though it does not fuel us, even though it drains us. And that's a trap, y'all. The goal here is to sift through those talents and identify what actually fuels you. Because if you build a brand around something that exhausts you, you are setting yourself up for burnout big time. That is the things that make you feel unstoppable. These are the things you would do even if no one was watching. These are the things that make time fly because you love them so much. For me, working on any of my audio projects, child, I'll be here all day. I just love them. I love it. So here's your homework. Get real with yourself. What are your top 5 strengths? Write them down and then look at them. Do they align with what you want to be known for? How do they feel when you examine them, when you interrogate them like this? All right, y'all. Up next is validate. Does the world see what you see? Now, here's where we bring in other people. Now, be careful. Be careful. You just can't bring anybody along now, because not everybody is, not everybody for you. So be selective. But I want you to remember, personal branding isn't just about what you think. It's about what your strengths are as they are perceived by the world. Again, take this with a grain of salt. I want you to do something bold. I want you to ask people, again, people you trust, colleagues, mentors, friends, what do you see as my greatest strengths? And then compare their answers to what you documented and distilled. If their responses align, hey, congratulations, friend. You have clarity on what you're known for. But if what they say surprises you, that means there's a gap somewhere between how you see yourself and how others experience you. And that's okay. That's why we do this work. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. I've said this before. So if your goal is to shape your brand with intention, you need to make sure that your perception and the reality are aligned. Now, there's a fine line to toe, because there may be people who perceive you one way, and at the root of that is bias. But we're going to get into that another time. We ain't talking about that in this chapter. Y'all, that's just a tidbit. That's just a little bit of the branding blueprint. But this work that I expressed today is foundational, because before you can build a brand, a business, or even confidently step into a room knowing what you bring to the table, you have to do this work. Document the truth of who you are. Distill it down to what fuels you. Validate it by getting real feedback, and then own it. Because the real flex is not just about being good at something. It's knowing exactly what makes you great and standing 10 toes down in it. So before I hop off the line, my challenge for you this week is to sit with these questions. Ask people what they see in you. Make sure ain't no trifling people. I keep saying it. And then start shaping your brand with intention. And if you want to go deeper, because who doesn't, grab the personal brand blueprint and work through these exercises. I promise you, this is an investment that you will not regret. Trust me. This type of stuff ChatGPT cannot give y'all. It just can't. All right, y'all. That's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for joining me for another lovely episode of the Ajayi Effect podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your guys or your girlies and everybody in between what we're talking about over here, all right? Tell them what to go on over here. And remember, until next time, you're capable of big things.